one game to go. Obviously, sort of doing like a hodgepodge of lineups this year. As an offensive line coach, how challenging has this year been? Just trying to get the correct group together, and, get the desired results.
It's been a challenge for sure. I mean, we've with all the guys we've had come through, trying to get guys ready to play, and then you feel like you're gaining some momentum and building on it, and then you get a guy down, or we've had a number of different centers in there, but in many ways, it's you're trying to look at the silver lining that we have improved in some areas where we've seen guys that haven't had a lot of experience get playing time, and those guys, their futures are, they're guys that may have not otherwise had an opportunity to play that did. So there's a benefit to that, and that's developmental. Like when you get guys in the back end of the roster going forward, or guys that are young that may have not otherwise played. Now they come into year two, for example, with a little more experience. So that's something that you kind of look at it and say, hey, we got something. That's the benefit of something like this.
Right. I see like a guy like Layden Robinson. I felt like when he started at right guard, there were some issues there in his pass pro, but like seeing the last 4 games at left guard, it does seem like he's taking a step forward. Like with a guy like that, do you see like a guy like, oh yeah, he can start in the NFL? Is there like a promising future with Layden?
There definitely is. I mean, he has a lot of great attributes about him. Layden plays very hard. He's very strong. He's long. He's got the movement. He's got the skill set you're looking for in a starter.
Yeah.
Usually you don't see a lot of guards start right away, and so with that, with his experience, I mean, that only elevates it, helps him. And I think long term, yeah, he's a starting caliber guard.
Do you want to see more of Caden in this game?
Well, that was always the goal. Caden had a difficult year in the sense that he got injured. Had a little hiatus there with the injury, which took him out. But he's been back, and he's done a really nice job. He's really turned it on toward the end of the season. So really, some really promising things with Caden, and hopefully he'll get a chance to get it. We'll know he'll get a limited role, or maybe an additional role in the game.
So there's no chance that he starts the game on Sunday, or do you think that?
Coach has got the starters going, but Caden's done, like I said, done a nice job recently getting ready and showing improvement in practice.
How do you think Colstrane did in his first game back? Obviously, a big mental challenge playing center for the first time.
I mean, if you take all the things considering, there's going to be some mistakes there. You take those out and look at the possibilities there for him. I think he did a really good job, and honestly, to have a guy came off of 2 patella tendon surgeries, I mean, it's like a miracle he's back. So to see him back and be able to function and do a good job, you can see the potential there, and I think it's a good position for him.
How do you feel like in terms of the line calls and stuff like that with him in there for the first time? How do you feel like that went?
Again, it's I mean, relative to the experience, pretty well. I think, but you want him to take the next step this game, and that's kind of how that goes when you get exposure. Like, okay, there's a lot of things that are you have to do and learn through experience, and especially at center. But we were pleased with his performance with those things considered. I think for him, it's we're looking forward to seeing what he can do this next game.
It seemed like there were some unblocked rushers at times against the Chargers. Was that just some of the things that happen when you have a first-time center, or was it maybe some outside factors as well?
I'm not. There has been some of that, and I think some of that is usually sometimes you have players you're hot off of. Other times they're mental errors, and that could be a number of guys on the line. So that's something that we've addressed, day in and day out. We have to be really clear in the points, the communication, and without naming any names, there's some things that we can definitely do, and I think we've really made a focus to address that.
Once we get into the off season here a little bit, obviously offensive line is probably going to be at the top of the list for Elliott and the personnel side.
Right.
Just how much of a role do you expect to have in that in terms of scouting those guys?
Well, I mean, typically, the coaches aren't involved in the personnel decisions, but we have inputs in that for sure. And we'll do our research and we'll have our inputs for sure.
Obviously, there's a lot of questions about job security for everyone on the staff right now. Just what are your thoughts on that? And
like everything else, you got to focus on what you do, and you got to focus on your job, and I got to get these guys ready to play Buffalo, and we want to see them go out and have their best performance of the year, and after that, I mean, again, I think we know the nature of the league and what you sign up for, so I think it's not something that's on the forefront. All you can think about is what you're doing to improve and how you perform each week to week, so you can kind of try to work it to get better. So knowing this is the last game, we're putting everything into this just like we did the prior games. I think, like I said before, I think when you have issues with continuity and moving parts. One of the things you can take away from that is that you've got some guys in there that may have not otherwise played. So you look to try to build that roster, build that with experience. Guys that didn't maybe have experience, now you say, hey, they have experience. So you get a good taste for what they can do, their rate of improvement, and then they also have a good understanding of what they have to do to attack for the next season.
You guys had a lot of turnover on the practice squad, but Caleb Jones stuck around all year. We obviously don't get to see him day to day. He's not playing games, but what have you seen from him from the start of the year to now?
Yeah, Caleb's a great kid. I mean, he's athletic, he's big, he's long. He's just done a nice job, and I think, we're pleased with Caleb, and I'm looking forward to having him back next season.
When it comes to City, so what kind of growth have you seen from him, especially recently? I know we talked about him a few weeks ago as well.
Yeah, City continues to show up and work hard, and for him, it's just going to be consistency, and that's what he knows that, and he's working through it, and has maintained a good, positive mindset throughout the season. He had a couple letdowns early, and I think, but he's really approached it like a pro, and I'm hoping that he'll come out, he'll kind of make those adjustments next year and have a much better year next year.
How much of an impact does David Andrews still have on his team?
Dave Andrews, everybody loves DA. I mean, he's a leader of the team for a long time, and so he definitely has a role in that. Although he's not there present at all times, he still makes his mark. You guys good?
Yeah. Thanks, Coach.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We heard Joe's been taking some reps this week. That's not all scout team as usual. Just what have you seen from him in those circumstances?
I mean, it's really the same thing for all three of them, trying to get their feet and their eyes timed up. And so getting the opportunity to see him and get some reps has been good.
We saw Drake pop up on the injury report Wednesday with the right hand. Has that limited him at all, or is he still?
He'll be good to go Sunday.
What's the focus been like in the building last game of the year? How do you sense things are going as you guys on the coaching staff approach your work this week?
I mean, I know it's hard to believe, but like when you walk in, there's so much to do. Getting ready for the red zone, Friday's red zone day. So that's kind of where our focus has been. There's not any time to think about anything else, even if I wanted to. So that's kind of where the focus has been. Been a normal week. Everybody has a lot to play for, the coaches, the players, this team. So no issues.
Where have you seen Joe improve the most over the course of the year?
I think Joe has improved the most with his ability to tempo his drops. We taught him a completely new footwork when he came in here, and the ability to not only do the footwork, but mix the tempos up depending on concept. He's done a good job of that, especially this week.
How difficult is it for someone to learn completely new footwork when they come in? Like, what goes into all that?
First they have habits that they've been doing their whole life, and so how much does that align? I think it's different for each person, but we have three pretty good athletes in the room, so they picked it up pretty quick.
We heard Drake's going to start. Will all three guys get time Sunday?
All three be ready to play, and that's not really my call, so we'll see on Sunday.
GC, if you were to take a step back and kind of reflect, how do you feel like the year's gone for the quarterback room as a whole?
At the end of the day, we're judged on wins and losses, so not good. But the guys have improved. It's been a good year in the room as far as camaraderie, as far as those guys helping each other, and those guys improving. So it's been good. I thought the guys have got better. I think we've played well at times, but at the end of the day, we're judged on wins and losses, especially from that room. So that's what it is.
Gerard has said this week that, Drake's a competitor. He wants to play. You're in those meeting rooms with him all the time. What have you noticed that stood out to you about his competitiveness? How would you describe him as far as that goes?
I mean, you guys could see it on Sundays. The guy wants to win. He wants to play good. He wants to be out there with his teammates. I think that's been clear since the day he got here. So nothing has changed in this last week. And again, everybody wants him to play more. Now no one wants him to play. He's got a chance to play, and they pay us to play football and coach football, and that's what we're going to do.
When it comes to Jacoby, what have you seen from him in terms of leadership this season, going from being the starter to then being the backup for Drake?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough situations. Jacoby's a competitor, too. He came here to play, and obviously didn't go exactly how he wanted as an individual, but at no point in time did he not give everything he could to Drake in the quarterback room and this team in general. So he's got to be mentally tough to be able to do that, and it's been good this year. Like I said, been good camaraderie in the room the entire year.
How much are you working with Drake to protect himself when he runs the ball? He took that hit last week. How much are you working on him with that?
We talk about that all the time. We talk about when there's situations to go get the first down and when it's not, and understanding those. And sometimes you're going to take some hits, but definitely don't want to put him at risk for no reason. So we'll continue to have those conversations as he gets more reps and keeps playing.
Was that play the other day where he took the shot to the head? I mean, is that a good learning experience for him in some ways? Just in terms of what to do in a spot like that.
Yeah, I think he should get out of bounds next time and stay out there. So I think he'll do that next time.
What was your reaction when he clears the protocol, comes back in, then tucks it and runs on the first snap back there?
I was telling him to get down. You can see me on the sideline pointing to the ground. So
a little sooner than he ultimately got down.
His timing was good, but I was a little conservative there with the get down. But definitely wanted him down.
Can you think that this is turning back the clock a little bit? But when it comes to Joe, and you were talking about his footwork earlier, can you remember watching him at the combine? I mean, I think a lot of people wanted to see him then and see his arm. And I remember people sort of criticizing his footwork then. It was almost like, I don't know if you would say it was, I don't know how you would describe it, but how would you describe what you saw then? And what did you think when you saw him in that instance?
I don't remember exactly what it looked at the combine. The biggest thing from the combine I remember with Joe is when we threw the go balls, he paused at the top,
right,
and let it ride like 75 yards. But just footwork wise, with Joe, I'm not sure that, there's two phases to the draft process. One, we're evaluating the guy and the talent, but once he gets here, none of that matters at that point. And so I kind of just let that go and just focus on what we can do to get him right. So I don't remember exactly what it looked like at this point, but constant improvement for sure since he got here.
Even when you see that pause at the top that you say you remember and then he's launching it, I mean, like, do you look, as a coach, do you look at that and say, like, oh man, this guy's got like a lot of work to do, or like that's pretty cool what he could?
I thought that was pretty cool. I thought that was pretty cool.
What have you seen out of Joe's attitude and character with, putting his head down and working, being the third quarterback, the emergency quarterback, and not actually seeing any playing time in a game?
Yeah, that's really hard. Like we talked, all three of those guys are competitors. And so he definitely has wanted to be out there the whole year. And it's definitely been a learning experience for him, is going through that process and not being out there. But good camaraderie. We have all three of those guys are really good people. And so he's done what he's supposed to do all year, and that will continue this week.
We don't get to talk about much about what he does on the sidelines, maybe during the games. What do you see from him in terms of maybe energy or just how he's involved on the sideline as a third emergency quarterback?
The first thing is you always got to stay ready to play. Like obviously Drake went out for those few plays and all of a sudden you're one play away. So the first thing is to make sure you're ready to play. And then there's little things that we ask him to do, just see him from the sideline. Little things that we can pick up, more eyes, better. So he's got a little task that I ask him to do each week.
You mentioned earlier, you guys, coaches and players, all have a lot to play for this week. What do you have to play for?
I said those three guys are competitors. Well, there's me and a lot of coaches are too. And the season hasn't gone how we wanted it to either. And we want to win. It's no fun to lose all the time. So, you play this game to win the game. And so whether that's week 18, whether that's day 1 or day 100, as Coach Mayo would say, we're here to win football games. So that's what we're going to try to do.
Right now, they're the leader of the division. Mm-hmm. So anytime you get an opportunity to go against the top guy, get to take advantage of it. So just excited about that.
You hit some good stretch plays early on, and then I think, so correct me if I'm wrong, was Ramondre's touchdown pinball?
No, it was actually a trap. So we were running trap, and they brought a pressure, so it kind of bounced out the side, and then he had to make two guys miss.
And there were two traps.
Yeah, we ran two traps.
So
we had two of them. One of them scored. The other was about 8 yards.
Yeah, but that play, I've heard it called crunch.
Oh, crunch. Yeah.
Similar but different?
Yeah, it's a little bit different because we're just pulling the guard and kicking out backside, and it's a downhill run.
Right.
That's why my guys like it, because they just get the ball, they go right downhill.
Right.
So, and it's kind of a change up, to use against some of those defenders that get upfield.
Which is what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been doing that here. I mean, even well before you got here. It's the same Wayne stuff. And I was looking at that. And I was like, I feel like he, if it was pin and pull, would have followed those blocks and then just cut backside. And I don't know if it was like a bash tag or what.
Yeah, just we got pressure, and so that's the thing with trap. You kind of need a clean look. If there's movement, everyone kind of all over the place. But again, my guy Dre likes that run because you get downhill on it.
Yeah. What's going on with him? I feel like it's a broad question, and the fumbles are a simple thing, but it just doesn't seem like the same guy we saw in September.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's just the ball security now. Part of it is, we just production on offense. We got to get the yards. But what I will say is he's been putting on a clinic in pass pro. And he's got to be up there as one of the top 3 pass pro guys. He had a clip against the Chargers where they had number 3 mugged up. He punched the guy, threw him to the ground, collected the end. So, with him, what I love about him is, hey, he's always focused on being the best at whatever that area is. And he's really taking it upon himself to step up in pass pro. The run game stuff's going to come. He's still the same runner. He's still tough. He still makes guys miss. We got to eliminate the ball security issues. And that's going to be a big deal for him coming back next year. And trust me, it doesn't hurt anyone more than it hurts him. So, but not down on Dre at all. Like I said, he's one of those guys that does everything right. He's going to give you everything he has when he's on the field. And the production stuff, it's going to come, especially the way he runs. So
yeah. I know from our past conversations, like the missed tackles is big in your room.
Yeah.
Totally understand. And then I'm tracking those because that's what we had talked about.
Yeah.
Like I had Gibson down for 1 against the Chargers, and some of it's a snaps thing, or you guys fall behind. You're not running the ball a whole lot.
Yeah.
But it felt like those numbers have come down a bit from Andres. I don't know if it's just end of season, fatigue or whatever.
Yeah, no, and we got to get those numbers up. The hard thing is he started off with such a high. I think he had 11 missed tackles his first game, which is unheard of.
Yeah.
But he's capable of doing that. And if you ask
Jets
him,
game was like 9 or 10.
Yeah, and in his mind, he can do that stuff. And we got to get back to it. But again, not down on him at all. Like I said, he's taking it upon himself. He's like, if we're going to be throwing the rock a little bit more with Drake, he steps up in protection. And he's really become a leader of just a guy that works every time he's on the field.
We were asking Alex about this yesterday because, you've been in business long enough. Obviously, your dad too. Losing season, changes come. Fair or not, that's just how it goes.
Yeah.
Do you given any thought about where things might be for you next week, or if there's changes made?
No, just because I got 4 kids and they young, and with everything going on, I can only focus on one day at a time. Yeah. It's true, like people say one day at a time, that's literally all the bandwidth I have. So I show up, I work, it's a blessing to coach the guys in my room. And I love where we're headed, where the room's headed. And we just got to go out there, put on a performance, and the chips fall where they fall.
We see a little bit Kevin this week possibly, or Terrell, or
yeah, we'll see. It's going to be one of those two.
Yeah.
So it's going to be one of those two. We'll see.
Yeah, because I know it's the whole season's been developed as you travel.
Yeah.
And so that's only fair. 1 game left. Kind of got to.
Well, and the thing is that's why I tell my guys in my room all the time, because I would love to go in a game with any one of those guys, and they all got a special talent, and they all work hard, and it all means something to them.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of when you're in a room like that, it's hard to get on the field. So
right. Yeah, and Gibby's been great.
Yeah, Gibby's been stepping up, and it's a lot of his special teams too. Terrell does a really good job on special teams. So it all plays a factor into it, but we'll see. We'll find out. We'll find out who's going to be up.
I gotcha.
So
Taylor, great job.
All right,
man.
Appreciate it, man. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year
all
too.
Right.
Yeah.
Jersey, I think, is a
Well, I was in South Jersey, so when you're in Philly, South Jersey's definitely different
you
than
can
North
manage
Jersey.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely different.
Yeah.
So,
Where were you in South Jersey?
I was in where the Flaccos grew. It's near Cherry Hill. It's Voorhees.
Oh, nice.
It's where Eastern High School is. Where Flacco's brother was going there at the time I was there, and he was unbelievable. Yeah. Yeah. So.
Cherry Hill's a nice area.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Great living. We were about 30 minutes, 40 minutes to Ocean City, and so it's a good time for us. But.
And Dad's doing all right?
Yeah, he's doing great. He's doing great. He's actually down at my sister's in Hopkinton right now, so
nice.
Hopefully this evening I'll go see him.
Captain Jack.
Yeah, fired up, man.
That's great.
Yeah, he's doing great. Doing great. Yeah, Holliston, we got it all right here. This is Metro West, man.
Holliston Westwood rivalry.
Yeah.
That's.
I wanted to move. Like when I came back, I wasn't going to tell my buddies, but I was like, all right, Westwood or Medfield.
And then you looked at the.
Then I found a place here, and so
Just right here.
My brother's in Holliston, you know, the neighborhood up on the Ashland line there, like the new development.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know.
I know exactly.
what it is
Yeah,
anymore,
I know
but
exactly what it is.
He's been happy there.
Yeah,
You know?
it's awesome. Right off of 120, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great town. I love growing up there.
Great town. Chris Greer too.
Chris Greer, yep.
Were you classmates? With
Yep,
him?
yep. We were classmates.
Yep.
Graduated at the same time. Played football together.
And Bill Knight came after you. The
Bill Knight
baseball
was after
player.
me. Yep.
He was a UMass baseball player,
Yep.
so I was up there
Yep.
with him.
He's a hockey goalie too.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Were you guys classmates?
No. You kidding me?
I went to all his games.
He was like a kid. First time I saw him, he's got whiter hair than me. And he's like, yeah, I used to go when I was a kid. I'm like, come on.
I know.
I mean, and for me as a young reporter, I mean, covering games at committee and field, I'm
Yeah,
just going to
committee
drop
field.
that at
Yeah,
you right
yeah.
there.
Committee
Like,
field. Mr. Committee was my principal.
And that's
when
how
I first got there. Yeah.
And that's how you learn in our business. Like for me,
Yeah.
in my era, that's how you learned.
Yeah.
You took stats on the sideline, always
Yep.
a pencil,
Yep.
because you know in the cold the pen
Yep.
doesn't always work.
Yep.
And you were the stats person. You were
Yep.
the reporter. You
Yep.
know, and that was a great
It was
learning.
awesome.
You know.
Yeah. I used to love the basketball. It was growing up here was awesome.
Those TVL gyms
Yeah.
for basketball,
Were awesome.
those
Midway
were
was the,
cauldrons.
Yep. Yep. Except for ours. Ours was a big.
No, but like meaning like the intensity.
Yeah, I
of
know.
Friday
I
night,
know.
like
I loved it.
my dad, who because of my parents' divorce, lived in Ashland, and so
Yep.
he did it on the cable TV.
Yep.
And I remember doing stats with him,
Yeah.
and those were events.
I know. It was big time.
I mean,
I was a point guard, believe it or not, because this
Yeah.
guy, Ed Daniels, was like 6'9".
Yeah.
Dave Paquette's the all-time leading scorer. He played at like Dalhousie in Canada. So I was the point guard, and all I did was pass. I always looked like I was going to make the shot, and it just never went in. It was unbelievable. But I played hard. Yeah. Played good defense. Good day.
All right.
All right.